Alright, today we're going to talk about our tools. Somebody requested that we give like a breakdown of the tools that we use. I've put together here pretty much the stuff that I use most, and we're going to go through all of the items and explain why they are useful for working on cars. Alright, where should I begin? Okay, with the wrenches, we can start with wrenches. This basically is, the sizes of wrenches that you're going to have is going to vary depending obviously on what kind of cars you're working on. We're always working on Hondas and Toyotas, so that's what all this is based on. The common sizes are going to be, they are 10, 12, 14, 17, 19, and I even have the little 8mm. So, and then I have long handle wrenches and get some good leverage when needed. This is a cool tool from Matco that is 14 long handle, and it has the regular close end and then the ratcheting close end, so you can break it loose of this end and then more quickly take out the bolt with that end or nut. And let's see, then I have these little guys here, which are handy when you're getting in tight spaces. I like using these little flex head ratcheting wrenches. These ones here, Harbor Freight, pretty decent quality though. And then actually the inserts that I have that I've added to these are pretty cool, but when I went to go look at these are from Craftsman. When I went to Sears website, these were discontinued, which kind of sucks, but if you can find them on eBay or somewhere, they're pretty useful. And you can also switch them over to like your long handle wrench if you need to offset where you're aiming at, and then you can work around things in your engine compartment. Yeah, configuring tools can be kind of a pain sometimes, but when you get it right, it can make getting that nut or bolt a lot easier. Then we got, let's see, you got ratchets here, flex head again, that's totally the way to go. The rigid, just straight ratchets are the handle's just gonna run into everything when you're trying to knock bolts loose, and it's just not gonna work out that well. This one is with Duralast, and so is this one from AutoZone. So, and they seem to be good quality. They've served me well. That's a 3/8. That's the 1/4 inch. And then of course with ratchets, extensions are going to come in handy. Various lengths of 3/8 extensions, 1/4 inch. I also have these little. Well, actually, I haven't gotten to the sockets yet. These are kind of fancier sockets. Let's see, if we go over to the socket little selection that I have kind of pieced together, I kind of organized them here. I got 8mm, 10 short long, 12 short long, 14 short long, 17, a big 19. I don't use 3/8 19 that much because that's larger. That's a larger size that you're probably going to use the 1/2 inch stuff for, but I just got it there just in case. You can make quick use of removing a bolt by maybe knocking it loose with your big breaker bar over here, and then just use the smaller ratchet just to get it out of there. Let's see, then of course this is a whole set. This is a 10mm to 19mm short 1/2 inch socket set. That definitely comes in handy for the big stuff, the suspension stuff. Then also I have the common sizes for the deep sockets, which at home I have a whole bunch more of this stuff, but I just picked out the good sizes. Let's see, we got 14, 17, 19, 21, 22, 24, and then for axle nuts 32. Actually, there's also some axle nuts that are 36, but I didn't bring that one. 36mm is another common size. And then of course extensions for the impacts. These are all, you can see these are the impact grade tools. You can use them with the 1/2 inch impact gun. This is a Craftsman. That one is pretty reasonably priced. I think they're like 120, 130 bucks, and it puts out like, I think 700, 650, 700 foot-pounds, so it works pretty well. And then got your universal joint for getting in the difficult spaces. I feel like I'm going on and on, but I guess this is all good information. And then when this one doesn't work for me with the air power, then I got this 3/4 inch breaker bar. Harbor Freight sells this for only 20 bucks. And the thing is, it's 3/4. So what I did is I just bought these. You can see the huge end it has on there. And the difference between 3/4 and 1/2 inch, as you can see, is huge. But you can get the adapter. I also got it from Harbor Freight. Oops. And then you can lock that in, and then you can use it with all your 1/2 inch tools. I've used this to bust off axle nuts that were just completely rusted on, and all the metal was shearing off as I was jumping on this thing. Yeah, so, and then along with getting those big bolts doing the suspension work, I also use ball joint pullers. Of course, those are necessary. I don't even know how you describe these. There's a smaller one, here's a bigger one. I think they call these pitman arm pullers, but it can also be used for ball joints too. And then this one gets into tight spaces. Actually, I ground it down even more because it wasn't getting into remove the ball joint that I needed to take out, or break loose from the control arm. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about? Vice grips. Well, these are cheap ones, but vice grips, these type of locking pliers, are useful a lot. Sometimes you got to grip on something real tight, and these give you the leverage to do it. If your hood's falling down because the hood struts are bad, you can lock this onto the strut to keep your hood from falling on your head. And then if you run out of options and you need, you got a size bolt or nut that you don't have the right tool for, sometimes the adjustable one works. Let's see, then we got pliers. On the pliers, these things are great when you're trying to get into tight spaces and get off like hose clamps or just whatever you need to use the pliers on. Having the 3 different angles is really useful. This one, well, these are a little offset, but they're almost straight. Then you got like a 45 and closer to a 90-degree, as you can see there, so you can get in at various angles to access what you need to take out. These pliers are for gripping like little hoses, so you can break them loose. You can grab them, twist it, and that'll take off like all the little water lines that are going to your intake manifold or wherever. Then actually, if you really want to grip onto a big like radiator clamp, these things are good. They have grooves in them, and then it has a ratcheting action so that it actually locks into place and holds your clamp compressed. And then that can make it a lot more convenient instead of trying to wrestle it with the pliers and hold tension on it so you can get that clamp out. This thing just locks it for you. And then breaking the hoses free, you can use a hook tool like this. It hooks in, you can run it around, breaks the big radiator hoses loose. Let's see, this one here is just a pry tool for popping like door panels out. This will get in there, you can pop the plastic clips out. Let's see, other pliers, there's just your standard needle nose. Dikes, these things, well, these ones suck. I need to replace them. The handle's like falling off. These are some cheap channel locks. I also need some better set of those, but the other ones got stolen, so I'm using cheap ones. Then screwdrivers, these things can be great pry tools too. I just got 3 different sizes of flat screwdrivers. Got a Phillips screwdriver, got stubby screwdrivers for the tight spaces. Another large tool, the big 1/2 inch flex head ratchet. This thing is real helpful when you're working on chassis suspension stuff. And of course a good old pry bar. And here's a dead blow hammer. It's just another cheapie, Harbor Freight. But this thing allows you to swing the hammer and make the blow without it bouncing back, which is really good. You don't want a hammer flying back in your face or something. Plus the outside is rubber, so it's not gonna like chip off metal and send pieces of metal and sparks flying and all that stuff. What else have I not talked about? Oh, here's the Torx bits. You're gonna run into those every now and then. Not too much on the Japanese cars, a lot on the German cars. Allen sockets, those also are gonna be needed every now and then. Got the little razor blade, little box cutter knife, small pliers, getting in tight spaces. I mean, sometimes when you're working under the dash or something like that, it gets real tight under there. Of course, your good old pocket screwdriver. that thing is necessary for doing who knows what, anything and everything. And then a little pick tool, it's for when you're messing around with a little small detailed stuff. You can then run into situations where you need those kind of things. Oh, I haven't talked about these little sockets yet. These are the Craftsman little U-joint, flex head, whatever you want to call them, sockets. I bought them individually, just the common sizes that I know I would need. I have in the 3/8, I have the 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter, and 14. And then in a 1/4 inch version, I have the 10 millimeter, which is useful in getting to tight spaces like transmission pan bolts and oil pan bolts, things like that. You can get up in there into tight fitting spaces with this little guy a lot of times. Let's see. Oh, and then the flare nut wrench, 10 and 12 millimeter. On the Asian cars, I think it's usually always going to be 10 millimeters. I think I've run into, like, on American cars, the 12. But either way, these are the really common sizes. And this is for getting on the soft brake lines, because it's easy to damage them, and this wrench grips further around the nut so that you're less likely to strip it out, because it is really soft metal, those brake lines. This one's kind of cool. I only have this one size wrench. It's another double-ended one, 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter. I mean, you could also just as easily throw in the 12, 14, 17, 19, and so forth. But this one is cool because it's an interesting design that Craftsman came up with. So it allows you to rotate a nut and go back and forth in a ratcheting motion, but without removing the wrench off the nut and putting it back over and over and over. This saves some effort right here, and also can work in tight spaces as well, where maybe you can't fit a ratchet. Oh, I didn't mention the handy dandy little, here's another little Craftsman item. You probably noticed I got a lot of Craftsman. Well, not a whole lot, but that's just because it's pretty affordable and pretty good stuff. But then, you know, there's also the tool brands like Matco, Mac, and Snap-on too. They got the premium stuff. So far I get by with this, but anyways, this is just a little impact tool that just goes forward and reverse, and I always leave a 10 millimeter on it just because it's got about enough power to handle pretty much any 10 or 12 millimeter, I mean not 12, 10 millimeter nut. And if it doesn't do that, then, you know, bust out something better. But this thing's convenient because it works a lot of the times and works real quickly and less effort. And the battery seems to have good life to it too. You don't have to charge this thing very often. And it also has a little battery indicator that'll tell you when it's getting low. So I like that thing. I think that's about it. Could probably talk more on the uses of some of these particular tools, but I think I covered it for the most part. Oh, and then this one, don't forget this was featured in our brake video, the ground down 17 millimeter. So on Toyotas and Lexus, you seem to run into sliding pins that have a small space in between them, and this ground down wrench has been useful for grabbing onto the bolt that has a narrow slot on it. So anyways, that was just one little detail.
Did you talk about the crescent wrench?
Yeah, when you run out of You know, when you run into some size you don't have in your collection at the moment, this is kind of like a junkyard thing, because you know, if I this whole collection is kind of a junkyard collection, because try to cover everything that you might need when you aren't out there with power tools. And I mean, you can't bring your air compressor out there, and maybe you could, but that would be a big chore. And so pretty much this right here, with these tools, with maybe the exception of I don't, there might be one or two that are missing or something, but with these tools here, basically I ripped a whole entire car apart. So I think they're all pretty useful.